found this amazing article from Sejal. Yes, and it talks about Asian weddings generally and how some things need to be modernized. Like desperately, this issue needs to be addressed.
The first thing that she mentioned was the guest list, how huge, Indian and just Asian weddings in general are, which is fine if you know every single person of the 1,000 people you're inviting. But what she actually emphasizes is how the wedding just doesn't become intimate anymore, and it becomes a celebration for other people to be there and for you to try to impress other people that you don't even know, which I think is the key factor. It increases on the cost of the wedding, which then, it just kind of becomes kind of a snowball effect where, first of all, you already don't know the people, but the fact that you have to pay for them to be there, it just makes it 10 times worse, because that's not what a wedding is about. It's supposed to be about two people and how that is such a happy event.
And there's another thing as well where you say, oh, but that person's daughter, when she got married, we were invited and stuff like that. And the thing is, if someone doesn't stop this, like, we'll have to invite that family and the other generation and the next generation for ages.
Yeah.
Until someone doesn't get married.
Yeah, and now brides and grooms want to pay for their own wedding instead of having the parents do it, which I think is absolutely fine. So that just makes it even worse. So like, why would I pay for some like 1,000 something people that I don't even know to be there, right? Yeah, you might want to do it to please your parents or whatever you want to say, but at the same time, you have to have some sort of limit, in the sense that it's not a rodeo clown center, like.
And there was this other issue that we were discussing earlier, and I want your thoughts about it. Do you think that girls should pay for the wedding? Like, traditionally, that's what it's supposed to be. The girls pay for the whole wedding, and then whatever ceremonies after the wedding, the guys can pay. Do you think that's fair? Nowadays, like, girls are independent now, and I don't see the point of doing this anymore.
So some of the sexist traditions that are in our weddings, for example, are the groom's family is seen as guests in the wedding and throughout the whole process, all 5 days of the wedding, and that they literally don't even lift up a fork and don't do anything like that. And so usually after the wedding, it's tradition that the bride's side of the family feeds the groom's side of the family. Like, that is the first thing that happens, and if that doesn't happen, then it's kind of frowned upon. Let's say, for example, right, I'm getting married, so my father just gave me away, but you still expect him to be the one that's feeding you, to be the one that's paying for your accommodation, to be the one that's doing everything for you, like literally, cleaning your shoes for you, when it's actually supposed to be the other way around, because you're the one that's supposed to be praising my father and my family for doing the sacrifice of giving me away to you, right? Like, I just feel like that kind of makes more sense.
And to be fair, that part of like giving away, like, no one's actually giving away.
No, it's not. But
sorry, putting the situation that
okay, we can do something. Why don't just, okay, me and the groom feed the parents together instead of the bride side of the family feeding the guy side of the family first, which just makes it very sexist, and I just find that extremely rude, offensive, disrespectful, and just in general annoying. Like, why would, okay, we just had a whole celebration, but what, you still want me to bend over backwards to please you? Why?
Extravagant gifting. Like, I remember packing gifts and stuff and that for like past weddings and stuff like that, and it was exciting. I wouldn't say like it was amazing, the whole process of doing that, but then I started thinking about the cost of all that. And the thing is, the presents are not even for like the husband to be, no, they're for the whole family of the husband to be. I was like, what, why am I buying things? Like, why is the bride buying things to their family? Like, I don't understand the concept of this. The union is between the bride and the groom. Okay, the families are getting together, but it doesn't mean that you have to please everyone from the groom family by giving them gifts and stuff. More costs. Why? Why do you want this? Is the wedding not expensive enough for you?
Yeah, it's actually adding on costs that are completely unnecessary. Like, completely unnecessary. So yeah. So again, what Sejal talks about in the article, one of her points is how priests in Asian weddings take advantage of their authority figure and their position, in the sense that, okay, we know that there are few priests who can actually explain properly, rationally the Indian ceremonies in English, let alone in any other language. And those priests charge like absurd amount of money.
Way more.
Yeah, an absurd amount of money for their services, and that they, they need certain kind of things to go along with them, like certain kind of DJs that they only hire for them to work with, and certain kind of this or that or whatever it is, like it's just kind of added expenses that are not necessary just because you can speak English, right? Like,
yeah.
I just wish that you could kind of get certified online like white people weddings and just do it yourself, but it's not the case here because apparently priests are like gods or something. I wanted to add into was that I've been to a lot of weddings, and speaking from experience, I've seen the good and bad. And so, the experience that I didn't enjoy so much was having the priest make the ceremony very sexist and being very degrading and devaluating to women, because he says things like, oh, the women's duty is to always serve the husband, and then the women's duty is always to be the one that pleases everybody. The women's duty is the one that
sacrifices everything, and
that stays in the kitchen all day, and the woman's duty is the one that she doesn't have a voice in the relationship. Like, he just says things like that which you're not allowed to say. And I know that in the scriptures it says that I know this for a fact, actually, so don't question me. Actually, you can look it up. I know that in the scriptures it says that in a relationship there's always one person that's caregiver. It doesn't say sex, it doesn't say talk about anything else, it just says that there's always one person that's a caregiver, and that's absolutely fine. It can be a man
normal
or
in any
a woman.
couple. Yeah, it's normal in any couple.
There's always one person that's always a primary caregiver. But that doesn't translate into women being slaves in the kitchen, and women being this, and women not voicing their opinion.
I'll stay in the kitchen only if I'm allowed to eat.
Yeah, like that's just things like that are just very inappropriate. And because you are a priest and an authority figure at that situation, it's actually frowned upon for the bride or groom to say anything. So you kind of have to stuck up with it and make vows on that. Like, how can you make a vow on a lie? I feel like that's like the main core of like being married. Like, you make vows, you need someone there to explain to you rationally on the surface level what it is for two souls to become one, right? Yeah. Like, you don't want to be vowed on something that you're don't believe in, that is a complete lie. Like, that's just not...
Especially when you're getting married, I don't believe that girls want to hear that kind of thing, that you have to sacrifice this, or you have to stay in the kitchen, or it's your responsibility to please the man and stuff like that. I mean, like, I'm getting married. Don't scare me. I'm scared enough. Like,
Yeah,
it's kind of like, it's just like telling her to just run. It's not now or never. Run.
Yeah. On the other side, where I've been to such beautiful, lovely weddings, where I have seen priests give the most beautiful explanations, to the way certain things are supposed to be, and to how a man and a woman become one, and just, just very beautiful, meaningful, rational things of, how life goes on. But when I see the opposite side of it, it actually makes me think twice about it, and just be like, I would never vow to do that voluntarily. If I knew that was if someone's gonna say that to my face at my wedding day, you were supposed to do this, like demeaningly telling me, and completely like patronizing me, like that's just not acceptable. I feel like, come on guys, like I'm sure I'm not the only one that thinks like that.
Pretty sure, I'm with you.
Thank you.
I have to admit that I cry a lot at the end of the wedding, and every time I have to cry, or kinda I end up crying, I don't like it, and I feel like the whole wedding just came down to this one part of the wedding, which is like the way that is the bride says goodbye to her family and all that, and everyone is just crying, and I feel like, why are we crying? This is not a separation. Like, unless you're actually moving countries, then I should cry because you're moving, not because you got married, because whatever you did just now, you got married, is a union. Like, why are you crying over a separation? And Sejal expresses this so well. Like, I completely agree with her, and I couldn't be more happy that she actually wrote that. I mean, someone has to, and go for it.
Yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed our kind of thoughts on just how things happen, and we're not making this up. We have done our research, and this article is actually very, very powerful and explains things in a very nice way.
And she was a bride, so she kind of went through the whole thing.
Yeah.
And we're just talking. I mean, I've seen from a third person, but being a bride and she's talking the way she's talking, I mean, I totally get her.
Yeah. And I feel like anybody would feel the same way. So have a look if you want. It's not a very long article. And
we'll leave the link down below.
Just let us know your thoughts about it, because we would love to see if there are other more people out there like us.
Or not. If you disagree as well, like
That's
let us know
absolutely
why.
fine, yeah.
Explain why.
That's absolutely fine if you disagree. We love you guys.